Welcome to fotoFENOM's first installment of Edit of the Week. Let's get right into it. Alright, so for this first week, we have our model, Ki Simone. As you can already tell, this photo is very, very underexposed, very blown out. You can see by highlighting over the triangle, all the blue areas, all the blown out areas that are heavily underexposed. We're gonna fix that though, so stay tuned and let's get into it. Alright, first things first, I like to go right into the crop. I like to make it a little more compact and concise. So let's trim this up a bit. Something like that. Okay. Alright. Now let's get into the exposure. Let's try to get some clarity in this thing here. Bump that up to about 90 or so. Throw some fill light. Give it some life. There she is. You can already tell her eyes are amazing. She has beautiful features. Let's adjust the white balance a little bit. And the further you go left, it's going to give you more of the bluish hues. The further you go right, it's going to warm it up more and make it more of a yellowish, orangish tint. So I like it around here. This is pretty good right here. So let's stay at 5100. The recovery is okay at 0. Black. Now what this does is this finds all the dark areas. And it's either going to accent the black areas or minimize them. So we really want to bring those dark areas down. Let's leave it right there around 2. Now I'm just doing the lighting. Now this is all lighting that I'm working on now. We'll get into the features and the texture fixes and making her eyes pop a little more. We get all into that after I'm done with the lighting. Alright, so we'll come down to contrast. I like to bump this up generally for most of my photos to about 40 to 45 on the contrast. Clarity, I don't really mess with that too much. The further you go left, it's going to soften it a lot. The further you go right, it's going to make it look a lot more harsh. I'll just leave that at 0 for now. Let's come on down to the highlights, lights, darks, and shadows. What we got with this? And this finds all your high points. It's either going to accent them or make them duller. Now it's already a dark scene, so you're not going to find too many highlights in this shot here. We can leave that at about 12. I like to play with these sliders. There's no rule or no method to these sliders here, honestly. Every photo is going to have its own individual approach. So you have to go into each photo with a clear slate, clear mind. Yeah, let's bump the darks up to about 20. And every once in a while, I like to go up to this triangle right here. And what this does is it lets you know what parts of your photo are still blown out. As you can see, the blue spots are still somewhat blown out. I'm not too worried about that. The photo is coming together pretty good as far as lighting goes. Alright. Now this section right here, this finds the reds, oranges, yellows, greens, the different colors inside the photo, and allows you to either darken them up a little bit or brighten them up a little bit. As you can see, the red is mainly in her nails here and on her lips. So the further I go right, the brighter that color will get. The further you go left, it's going to darken just that section. So I want to make that look a little richer. I'll leave this at about 43 right there. That looks good. Let's go to a before and after shot. And as you can already tell, we're making good progress. Okay, lower it up a little bit. Looking a lot better actually. Go back to the one we're working on here. All right, so come on down to our detail tab. Now this is our sharpening section right here. This is going to make the picture a lot more sharper the further you go right. The thing about the sharpening tool though is the more sharpening you add to it, the more grain and the less clarity will be shown in the photo. So you don't want to add too much sharpening to your shots, just enough to give it, you know, some extra punch. And I like the softness of the shot, honestly, so I don't want to add too much sharpening to it. And if there is any noise or any non-clarities in the shot, you can zoom in, and the noise reduction will actually take any, you know, any noise out of that shot. So I don't know if you can see that, but see, this is before. You see the noise and the graininess of the shot, and you raise this bar right here, and it all goes away. So all right, let's leave that about right there. Now we can get into the features of this young lady here and make them pop. First off, I like to grab the spot removal tool. Now this is good for, the spot removal tool is good for any kind of blemishes or marks that you might want to get rid of. She has very beautiful skin, so it's not too much to fix at all. And how this works is you'll click the spot and it'll find a clean or a clear spot on her face that has the same lighting conditions and fixes it. So as you can see, let me go back and show you what I did. Right here, there's a dark spot. You know, maybe it's her birthmark, but either way, let's just say that it was a blemish. You click it, and it finds this area here, which is clear. Okay, it's going to duplicate that, and bam, the mark is gone. So let's go back to normal size. Let's get into I like to start out with sharpness. With the sharpening tool, what I do is I like to sharpen their eyes, their eyebrows, and their mouth, because that's what I want to pop out in my photos when I'm editing them. So that's my thing: eyes, eyebrows, and mouth. So let's decrease the size of the brush and zoom in a little bit. Let's start with the eye. Now the red you see here, that's just showing me what part of the photo is being processed, so I know that I'm not going out of the lines or anything like that. I like to get the eyelashes too. Alright, let's go to the next eye. Okay, let's get the eyebrow. We want to increase the size of the brush a little bit. And let's get the other one. Alright, and lastly, let's get her mouth and sharpen that a little bit too. The cool thing about this is if you do get out of the line, you can always go back and use the eraser. Right here, you hit the eraser tool and you can clear up the edges if you get too far off her lips, which I did a little bit here. Okay. Now, as far as sharpness goes, I don't want to add too much. I'll leave it at default. It was at -10. Hit done. Alright, next what I'll do is go back to the custom brush, and now I'll go and look for the teeth whitening tool. I actually use this for teeth and for the whites of the eyes. So she's not smiling in this picture. We're just going to focus on her eyes and get those looking as white as possible, or as naturally white as possible. And they're already, they're already fairly white, but they can always look a little clearer. So let's decrease the size of the brush. And let's color in the whites of the eyes. Let's do both of them while we got them. While I have this open. Alright. And I generally like to have the exposure for the whites around 21 to 31. So I don't want them to look too unnaturally white. And that should be good. Zoom out. Oh yeah. Much better. And while we're focusing on the eyes, I like to make the iris of the eyeball pop. And the way that's possible is they have this feature called the iris enhancer tool. Cool. So let's zoom in and get those irises looking good. And the way this works is you just color in on top of the iris and adjust the clarity and the sharpness accordingly. Leave it around 40. Let's do the other eye as well. Alright, done. Now these are all, very fine details and things you won't notice if you're looking at it, things that you would normally overlook. But the whole, the whole puzzle, once it's complete, is just like, wow, it really comes together. And it's the fine things that you have to do, the fine details you have to pay attention to in order to get that photo, that wow factor photo, Alright, so we're coming along. Let's go ahead and keep it moving.